Good morning. Welcome to the Centonomy Open Day. We're so glad to have you here. This is what makes me excited when I come into a place like this. I arrived as your host, and people were already in the hall. I am telling you, all those who are here before 9 a.m., just stand on your feet. We want to recognize you. If you are here before 9, stand so that people can see. Look at these hungry people. Can we give them a hand for what they're doing? Thank you. We told you, have a seat. We told you to be here for 9:30 and you are here before 9. Is that an African thing to do? I don't know. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Even all the speakers were here prior to the event. I was just saying, praise the Lord, because that's not a normal thing on a day like this. I just want to recognize all those who are online. Please believe me that you are not alone. We are hitting, what is the number right now? We're closing in on 300 people live online. They were there as well before 9. Give yourselves a hand online. Let me give you a picture of who you are in the room with. You're with people in Dubai. You're with people in Germany. You're with people in Uganda. Right now, you're with people in Canada. You're with people in Tanzania. You're with people in Pakistan. You're with people all across Kenya. Can we give the online group a hand for what they're doing and that they're in this place? That same hunger for what we're learning here today. Ladies and gentlemen, financial literacy is no joke. There's no part of your life that is not affected by finances. Every part of your life, if you think about it, with relatives, do we have finances? Okay, I need your responses now. There's a yes or no question, yes? Do your relatives ask for money? Good. Does your family require money? Good. With your workplace, is there money in that equation? Very good. With your faith, if you're a person of faith, is there money in that equation? So is there an area of life that is not affected by personal finance? No. And so when you're in this room, you're in the right place. Because if we can be able to get the financial literacy that will empower you to make the decisions that will shift your life, that's where the change happens. As Centonomy, we are on a mission. And our mission is to shift mindsets so that purposeful people like yourself can create wealth and live abundantly. And we have had many programs across this continent of Africa about poverty eradication, right? We are dealing with the negative. But here at Centonomy, we've said it's from the positive. We will eradicate poverty if we create wealth, isn't it? It's not about giving small programs that help people to simply survive. Our mission is to help you to live abundantly. It's not about shrinking. Our founder, Sheikh Ndwati, and she has said this before, and we've seen others who've said it. You cannot shrink into greatness. You have to expand. That's what we're going to do in this place. So please understand that this is just one of the steps on the journey towards the wealth creation that you're looking for. And today we have a special theme. Today we're talking about finishing strong. Because many of us, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. You'll tell me. Have you ever started a project and then somewhere down the road it disappeared? Can I be as honest as possible? Have you ever tried to lose weight? And then you show up at the next open day wearing a big African outfit just so that the curves are not showing as clearly as possible. We start things, but often don't finish. And today we've got an amazing group of speakers who have come with knowledge, with experience that they're going to share with you on how do we finish strong. Can we all say that together? Finish strong. Finish strong. We need to finish strong. Because what you start, if you don't finish it, if you don't come to an end, if you don't come to a conclusion, you're going to find yourself always going round in circles. And what we are trying to do is get to our goals. So many people come and ask me often, Waithaka, what's the best investment? And my answer to that question every single time is the one that matches your goal. So if you're heading towards a specific goal, you will find the right investments to match that. And that's what we're going to speak about today. So I wanted to just let you know, please do follow us and be part of the online discussion that we're having. We're all over the place on Instagram. We're on Twitter, now X. We are on Facebook, and here's an opportunity for you to earn a scholarship as part of it if you are active online. And all those who came early already had a head start. You see, the early bird catches the worm. You came in early, you've already started tweeting, you've already started putting out the information there. I'm very glad that you have done so. Please join us and do so. So be as active as possible on social media as we did. So I'm going to take you through a couple of things. As I said, we've got an amazing group of speakers who are coming to speak to you now. And we want you to think deeply about this theme, about finishing strong. We want you to reflect. We want you to adjust. And we want you to achieve your financial goals with intent. So, this is how it works. Everyone online as well, this is how it works. In a session like this, you didn't come, it's not a radio that you're listening to. So you need somewhere to write. Even if it's just your phone, get out the notes on your phone and put down something that is going to help you remember the lessons that you've learned today. And we're going to get started immediately. It is my immense pleasure to invite our first speaker for the day. He is the CEO of Kuza Asset Management. Let me just say something before you come. In the classes at Centonomy, you are taught by industry experts, like the gentleman who's coming to speak next. We don't just come and tell you what we think. It is not theory. So when you come into a class around understanding investment in shares in the stock market, unit trusts, you're actually being taught by somebody who is a stockbroker or a fund manager in the industry who is going to tell you what works now. So it's not just about theory, it is what can you go and implement today. So, the CEO of Kuza Asset Management, can you put your hands together for Mr. James Mose as he comes here to share with us yet again what works in this industry. I'm so glad that you're here, James. He's almost here. Can we give him a little bit more of an encouragement as he comes up? I just wanted to mention for those who are watching online, please do participate. You can put things in the comments as well. However, if you have a question, it will get lost in the comments. So if you're online, do not put your questions in the comments. Kindly put your question in the Q&A section, and we'll be able to get to it in just a couple of minutes. One more time for Mr. James Mose. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning once again. My name is James Mose. I'm the CEO of Kuza Asset Management. So Kuza Asset Management is a fund manager licensed by both the Capital Markets Authority, that's CMA, and the Retirement Benefits Authority, that's RBA, to offer investment products and give investment advice to the Kenyan public. So currently, Kuza manages over 1.2 billion in assets under management, and this has been backed by over 2,000 clients. Just reflecting on today's theme, finish strong. Reflect, adjust, and achieve your investment goals with intent. There can't be a better time to have such a beautiful, powerful discussion than now. We are in August. So 7 months done in the year. We have 5 months to go. Just think about all those goals you set to achieve at the beginning of the year. More specifically, those financial goals you set to achieve. How are you faring on? How are you doing? As we reflect, I'd like to share my journey, my financial and investments journey. I started my career at Dye & Blair Investment Bank as an investment planner. Then went to Stanbic Bank as a research analyst. Left Stanbic, went to Old Mutual Investment Group as a portfolio manager, UAP Investments portfolio manager, then Britam Asset Managers as a chief investment officer. At the time I was leaving Britam, I was overseeing over 240 billion worth of clients' money. Then now Kuza Asset Management as founder and CEO. That's a journey of 18 years. There I give away my age, just to be very specific. I'm 41 years. So 18 years. What have I learned in those 18 years? What money mistakes have I made? What money successes have I achieved? I like to be a bit vulnerable and share my money mistakes. I remember when I was at Dye & Blair as an investment planner, Barclays Bank, now ABSA, came to Dye & Blair and they were introducing us to credit cards. I was very excited because I wasn't very happy with my pay. I was like, I can now live the life I want. Very fast, I got that credit card, and at no time I'd maxed that credit card, and now the pain started, paying the interest and principal. I really struggled to actually pay the interest and principal, and I couldn't even remember what exactly I'd used that money for. Then fast forward 2013. Now I was a portfolio manager at Old Mutual Investment Group. With my friends and some people in the industry, investment clubs were the in thing. We were like, we need to also have an investment club. 7 of us. We came together, registered an investment club, put in 300,000 each. So that was 2.1 million we raised. And quickly we were like, we need to buy land. We went somewhere in Narok, in a remote area. We got ourselves 50 acres. 2013, we got ourselves 50 acres. 11 years later, we don't have a title for that parcel of land. Granted, that transaction had its own challenges. But the main reason why we don't have a title to date has little to do with the challenges that parcel of land has. It's just because there is no chemistry between the 7 of us. Even a simple meeting, we can't get to sit to have a meeting. All of a sudden, all of us are busy. Everyone wants to delegate. Enough of my money mistakes. What are the successes I like to share? One of my main success is learning from my mistakes and actually learning from people's mistakes. Like now, I have one of the best relationships with my credit card. Actually, I hardly use a debit card. Money comes to my account, I sweep it to money market account. That would be the Kuza money market account, currently giving 17.2%. Then I'll start using my credit card. But make sure that I pay all that balance within 50 days, because that's the window within which no interest accrues. And for investment clubs, It's not my cup of tea. But I'm not saying investment clubs are bad. I've had beautiful stories about investment clubs. Actually, I have quite a number of clients who've invested with Kuza Asset Management through the investment clubs. But you must make sure that as members of that investment club, you're reading from the same script. You are aligned. My other key money success is investing in myself. I remember early in my career when I knew finance was my career. It was very clear to me that to stand out, I had to do CFA, that's Chartered Financial Analyst. And the moment I finished CFA, it unlocked my earning power. I was very confident taking interviews, negotiating for pay, and that hastened the period it took for me to grow my wealth. All of us are in different industries. But you must make sure, we are here for financial literacy. We're investing the money we have. But we can do something to actually increase that money. So whichever industry you are in, what is this professional paper that if you did, you will stand out? It will open doors for you. Do it. And once you get an opportunity because of standing out, you must deliver. You must demonstrate the skills and the knowledge that then you learned from pursuing those professional papers. My other key money success is ensuring that I'm no person's lender of last resort. I'm sure all of us, we have our experiences here. You give your friend money. Whenever they're asking for this money, they have a plan on how exactly they'll pay you back. They're very clear how long it will take. Within 2 weeks, within 3 weeks, I'll pay you back. Then you wonder if these guys had such a plan, how come they're in this mess right now? But you go ahead and give them. But most of the time, you're the one chasing them. And hardly does it come back. Why should you work so hard building your emergency fund for you to fund other people's emergencies? Does it make sense? So your emergency fund should be for your emergencies. I know all of us here, we have our mistakes, money mistakes, we have our successes. As we reflect, just as per the theme, we're all in different investment life cycles. Broadly, there are 4 investment life cycles. We have the accumulation of wealth, the growth and management of wealth. We have the preservation of wealth. We have the distribution of wealth. So, and these investment life cycles are really dictated by your age. So maybe you're working towards a specific goal. It could be paying down that debt. It could be putting up that deposit to buy a house. It could be building an emergency fund. Saving towards that car. Putting up an education fund for your kids, high school fees or even university fees. Then the question is, how do you remain focused? and ensure you achieve that goal? How do you remain focused? At times, investments can be boring. How can you excite that journey? Case in point, let's pick an emergency fund. How long should an emergency fund last us? It's a question. Yeah, be more confident. That's the correct answer. Exactly, 6 months. So you're working towards this emergency fund that should last you 6 months in the event you lost your income. Let's assume your monthly expenses add up to 200,000. So then it means your emergency fund should be 200,000 times 6. That's what? 1.2 million. So then you check your pay slip. The most you can save on a monthly basis is 100,000. So how long will it take you to get to that target of 1.2 million? 1 year, right? 12 months. How do you ensure that every month you put away that 100,000 so that by the end of 12 months you are at 1.2 million? So that's a 12-month goal. 12 months can be long. 12 months can be long. So for you to remain focused and to excite that journey, you can break it down to shorter goals. Maybe 3 months. So quarterly. So you say, my annual goal is to get to 1.2 million. But every quarter, I need to have saved 300,000. And once I hit my quarterly goal, I have to reward myself. So we can start with the first 300,000. You say my reward will be 10,000. Once you hit that 300,000, you pay yourself 10,000. You treat yourself. Whatever makes you happy. Then, the next 3 months, you'll be at 600,000. You make even the reward higher, just to make it more exciting. 20,000, you reward yourself. 9 months, 900,000. Double it. 40,000 reward. 12 months, double that reward to 80,000. You can even take a trip for the family. But you see, that 80,000 you're paying yourself on the 12th month, the 20,000, the 40,000 you're paying yourself on the 9th month, the 20,000 you're paying yourself on the 6th month, and even the 10,000 you're paying yourself on the 3 months, all these can actually come from interest that this money is accruing. Like now, money market rates, because an emergency fund should be in a money market fund, because it should be easily accessible. So all this can be paid by the interest. But what exactly this has done is that it's encouraged you, it's motivated you, but you've achieved this goal of hitting the 1.2 million within 12 months. Then now from the second year, you'll be working towards a different goal. The 1.2 million can grow. That thing we need to note is that as we do our investments, markets go through cycles. So each cycle, there are key asset classes that perform very well. For instance, right now, interest rates are very high. The government is paying you almost 18%. Money market rates are at 17%. But does it mean the government will always be paying 18%? As we go to next year, every indication is pointing towards these rates coming off. Because already, for those who watched news this week, the central bank cut the central bank rate by 0.25% from 13 to 12.75, pointing towards these rates actually starting to come off. So as we go to next year, equities are expected to perform well. But as an investor, how do you stay in touch with these market movements and these market cycles? It may not be possible to do it by yourself. You must partner with a professional. That could be a fund manager, regulated, a financial advisor that can be trusted to handhold you as you move your portfolio to take advantage of market cycles. And if you're thinking about a fund manager, think no further. Kuza Asset Management will be more than happy to partner with you. Kwa hiyo mengi na machache, thank you for listening to me.
Good enough. I think we can do better than that. I told you you're hearing from industry experts. James, we've already got questions from guys who are online. Thank you so much for those who are, as you can see, we are following your questions here. You can zoom in here, Mr. Cameraman, so they can see we are following what you're doing here. Thank you. Here's a question, and it came in earlier on. This is from I think it's Grace, who's in Canada, who's asking, I'm outside of the country. How can I start investing here?
Okay, that's a great question. We've had experiences whereby when interest rates started going up and government was paying in infrastructure bonds rates as high as 18%. This was very exciting. So we have, like for instance at Kuza, Kenyans who've invested with us from the US, from the UK. We have even someone who's invested with us from Senegal, Qatar, Netherlands. So even for her, who's in Canada, should be able to invest locally. You just need to be clear which goal you're working towards. So if, for instance, you want to open a dollar money market fund, it's possible to do a wire remittance to, say, the Kuza dollar money market fund. The custodian is KCB. It accepts those foreign transfers. And if, for instance, you want to even invest, say, in a government bond, and you clear which bond you'd want to invest in, you can also similarly do a wire transfer. Our custodian is Stanbic Bank. So it's possible. We have presidents, we have enough Kenyans from outside who've invested with us, and even for her, it should be possible to actually invest.
That's right. And can I give you just some perspective? If you look at, please correct me if I'm wrong, currently on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, is it true that over 60% of the transactions that happen on our Nairobi Securities Exchange are by foreigners? Yes. So that's money coming from outside. So there's an opportunity for those who are outside to do so, but I'm also challenging all those who I'm looking at here. Where is your money? If you're not investing locally, where is it? This is an opportunity for you to begin to make changes in your life. And so please get started there. I'll take one question here, if you can. The first person put their hand up, I'm going to give you that chance now to ask James before he has a seat and follow. Anyone in the room who has a question, your opportunity, there you go.
My name is Rachel. I'm happy to know that your money market fund is doing so well. My question is on the management fees. What is the management fees and therefore the net interest?
Thank you.
That's a very good question. Because at the end of the day, you'd want to know what's my take home. As I answer her question, I like to give a perspective. In Kenya, we have about 90 million bank accounts. What's the Kenyan population? How many are we? Sorry? Over 50 million. But we have 90 million plus bank accounts. It means, like now, for instance, James, I have like 4. Waithaka here maybe has 10. But do you know how many money market accounts we have in the country? Do you know how many? Less than 1 million. And that's why the job that Centonomy is doing is a great job. The biggest issue with us Kenyans is that we are financially illiterate. That's the truth. We don't know. That's why banks are very happy. We're giving our money to banks for free. In Kenya currently, we have about 6 trillion in deposits in banks, of which about 2 trillion is money sitting in current accounts, earning 0. That's your 20,000 with Equity Bank, your 100,000 with Sunchart in the current account because you just want to see it. That money should be in a money market account. Because with a money market account, if you want the money, you can get it within 24 to 48 hours. Even an emergency can wait for a day. So to your question, our money market currently is yielding 17.2%. That's net of management fees. So already at 17.2%, we've paid ourselves as Kuza Asset Management 2% management fees. What you need to worry about, that 17.2%, is withholding tax, 15% that is paid to the government. So 0.85 times 17.2. I can see Kuza people here. Help me with that math. Tell us. What's the net? You can shout. 14.62. That will be your take home. And it compounds on a monthly basis. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Guys, come on, give him a hand. It's folks like these who are making a difference in our nation because they're not just talking about opportunities to invest, they're actually creating them. And so often people come into our classes and they ask, where are these investments that can give us more than 5% in our savings account? Where do they exist? Did you just hear about one that is giving you over 17%? Did you hear, I don't know if you are paying attention, did you hear of one that is giving over 18%? He mentioned it along the way. Do these investments exist? So where is your money? That's our question. So very quickly, I want you to listen to this. He talks about credit cards, and he said that he marks them out. Now, I know not all of us have credit cards, but if we went to your mobile phone just now, in this hall, will we find some debt? Please understand, when he said credit card, just put in place mobile loan. It means the same thing. Okay? So when debt is a problem, it's a problem across the board, depending on where you're getting into. You talked about chamas. In the Centonomy 101 class, we talk about chamas because investment groups are very powerful tools They can allow you to do what you could not do by yourself. However, the same problems that he talked about, we don't meet, we don't have a strategy, we don't have a goal. These are the problems that we are facing. And so we help you with those problems in the class, where we're going to give you a strategy for your chama to begin to get to work. It has to work, and we have to learn from our mistakes. I was taking notes, James. I was taking notes. You said upskill. In Module 1 of Centonomy 101, we challenge you and ask you, what non-financial assets do you have? Each one of you has time. Hey, are you seated in this hall? You could be doing something else right now, yes? But you had time this morning. Next Saturday at this time, where will you be? Do you know what watching? You'll be watching what? Rugby, like me. I'm missing my match this morning, but I'm here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an asset called time. What are you doing with it? Those of you who have other skills, I was challenged about my skills. I play the guitar, and when I was a young man, I used to give those lessons for free until somebody knocked me on the head and said, foolish. In fact, he was paying me to train his child. And he was like, I came, I told him it's for free, and he told me, you are ridiculous. Can you do something better with your time? Then you talked about it. I just want to get you to, he said, put your money where it will grow. Ladies and gentlemen, the opportunities are in front of you. And when he talked about emergency funds, he was saying, where is your money actually going to get a return and help you to grow over time? In Module 1 of the Centonomy 101 class, we give you an emergency fund template so that you can begin to build it. Let's be honest. Let's be very honest. From our experience in Centonomy, emergency fund of 6 months, it doesn't happen in 1 year. It usually takes between 3 to 5 years to save that amount. But as you're building, you're getting closer and closer to that goal. So it's not time to give up, but rather to build from there. Now, in the class, you are going to get detailed information about the different asset classes. So when James was saying, think about government bonds, and he was saying over 18% this year. Next year it will be less than that. But those who invest now, even next year those 18% bonds will be still available. You just have to go onto the secondary market. So it's not that they just disappear. And in the class you're going to hear from fund managers who are going to help you to understand, how do I take advantage of such opportunities? Then we look at money market funds and the structure around them. And in the class, let's just be clear about this. There is no investment without risk. And therefore, we're not just telling you put all your money into one kind of investment. We are saying, how do you mitigate against that risk? By investing in different assets. So don't put all your eggs, in one basket. But you need to put your eggs in baskets. The problem that we have is that all of us, we are hiding our eggs somewhere, in the mattress somewhere hidden. And it's time for us to start investing. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is comprehensive when we talk about the 101 program. When we talk about it, money management means you're taking control of your finances. Time value of money says, how does that 17% work? Here's the thing. This is the mistake we make also in our finances. We think, okay, I have 100,000. I will take my 100,000 and put it into that money market fund and forget about it. No. The best value that you're going to get is to continuously invest. So those of you who started investing in the stock market, and then when things didn't go your way, you said, this thing doesn't work, you made a mistake. I'll tell you about that mistake shortly. People who got burnt at the Safaricom IPO, are you here? I know many are here, Gen Zs. Oh, there's somebody, okay. 2 or 3 of us. I can see those who have hair problems like me are speaking to me at this point. But we'll talk about that, understanding compounding, then debt management, exactly what you talked about. Then we talk about living abundantly, planning for the future. We talk about investments. Now, as we don't talk about investments first, because investments are not the problem. Hey, investments are abundant in this nation. You cannot miss one. The problem is that you don't have a plan to put into those investments. So we prepare the plan so that when you come into those classes, you're asking specific questions for where you are at this time. After that, we now talk about protecting your money. How does insurance work? How does estate planning work? How does taxes work? That's what we're looking for. We build towards that. That is what we are building towards. And so, after that, you put together your financial plan based on all the knowledge that you have. And finally, we talk about investment groups like I promised and implementing that plan and graduating. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, this is simply the first step towards that goal that you set for yourself. And so we're going to build towards the growth that we have. I am so excited to invite the next speaker for the day. This is a lady that I've been wanting to invite here for so long. And finally, she has come. Not only is she a global growth catalyst, not only is she a leadership educator, but this year she received a prize as one of Kenya's most influential women in this country. Can you put your hands together for Dr. Patricia Murugami, who is going to come and help us to figure out how we're going to finish strong. Give her one more hand as she comes forward.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning once again. It's wonderful to see all of you. It shows the hunger that we have. Thank you for demystifying. In a part of the world where people think investments are only about property, I think he has helped us see exactly what we need to think about. I want you to ask your neighbor, who is your worst enemy? And listen to the answer. Listen to the answer, eh? Don't just ask. Who is your worst enemy? Who is your worst enemy? Okay, this is not the time for the stories. Just one word, one word. Who is your worst enemy? Now you've learned something about someone, isn't it? And maybe you've never spoken it out loudly, isn't it? I want you to hold your 2 ears. Absolutely. You remember when our parents used to pinch us? Yes, I want you to now repeat after me. Make sure your worst enemy doesn't live between your 2 ears. Repeat to your neighbor. Make sure your worst enemy doesn't live between your 2. And who might that be? Myself, isn't it? Myself. If you're like many Kenyans, you look at your Fuliza debt, then there's Okoa Jahazi, and then there are people all constantly, you're cutting their phone because they are following you up for money that you borrowed when you needed something you thought was critical. I'm hoping that this morning, through this Centonomy Open Day, and each of the amazing speakers, you will leave here with the idea that the highest form of discipline, the highest form of self-care is discipline. The highest form of self-care, ladies and gentlemen, is discipline. It is not going on that trip. It is not no. In fact, I'm reminded of my first job. I started my career as an auditor. And I remember one of my mentors told me, even as you start your career in my 20s, make sure you're living beneath your means. Beneath your means. So when you get the next incentive, the next promotion, don't quickly blow it away and say, YOLO, you only live once, isn't it? Don't blow it away and just say, hey, bora uhai, I've worked so hard, isn't it? That is the time to make sure you have clarity on what you need to do. I have a couple of minutes and I just want to thank Centonomy. I really want to thank Sheke. I remember when Sheke was building this business, and she told me one day I'll not only be a founder, but we will have an entire business and a range of products, and we'll have a CEO. So you can imagine, I knew about you before even the idea came to life. This is the power of a vision, ladies and gentlemen. And so you didn't come this far to only come this far. Repeat after after me. You did not come this far to only come this far. The reason you are here this early is because you're asking, how do you go further? And it's not about how much money you earn. No. In fact, our parents will tell us they're shocked at the amount of money that passes through our hands. Because with the money they had, they spent it in ways that if we were to try and stretch our shilling like our parents, it would almost be a PhD, isn't it? So remove the fallacy that because you have no money or because you have little money, you cannot start to be disciplined about it. But today I want to talk about you remembering where you started. Moses said that 2025 is 5 months away. I prefer to look at this year as a leap year. So hopefully, before the year ends, you will leap forward just in one thing. Note down one goal that you set for 2024. You probably have it. Note it down. I'm a believer that when you write things down, I have my journal here, and my team is here, and we're selling those journals. When you write things down, they move from your mind to start becoming a reality. So you've written your goal? Then I want you to remember that the rest of your life is ahead of us. Please God that we will remain old, we'll grow old and gray. But what if you started thinking about your retirement now? My question is, would my current lifestyle, without an income, would my current investments, currently, without any additional income, give me the kind of life I want in 20 years? Tell your neighbor how old you'll be in 20 years. My daughters are here. In 20 years, they'll be in their 30s. In 20 years, what about you? You know, that's when the reality checks in. In 20 years, these behaviors I have now, are they going to pay off? Or do I need to recalibrate and decide what I need to do? So today, I'm not speaking about money per se, but I'm speaking about what drives our money behavior. 4 levels that I need you to think about. Remember that many will start, but few will finish. Can you choose to be the ones who finish strong? So there are 4 W's in one of our programs called the Early Risers Program, which is actually a Gen Z program, fascinatedly. We just graduated the 2nd cohort on Thursday, Nane, again, coincidentally. And one of the things they were telling me is they did not know how the 4 W's have such an impact. So let me introduce you to 4 W's that can raise your capability to become ethically wealthy. The word is what? Ethically wealthy. Money is not a bad thing, but it shouldn't be an end in itself. It is a means to an end. So what's the first W? Strengthen your willpower. Just look at that picture. There's a plant that's growing in the middle of the rocks. How many of you feel like you're between a hard place and a rock? Maybe you feel you've been buried. I read somewhere, one of the things I'm trying to read is 100 books in 2024. So I'm in book 34 maybe. I'm behind, thank you. But let me tell you, the quality of your life rises by the books you read, the company you seek, and the programs that you choose to invest in, like the Centonomy programs, Rise School programs, and any other programs. So some of us, I read one author saying, sometimes you feel like you've been buried, when in fact, you have been planted. That place you're feeling stuck, there's more month at the end of the money. Recently, I also read, if you want to know who your friends are, become an entrepreneur. That is when you know. Ask me, how many dropped off when I became an entrepreneur? Moving from a top job to deciding now it's time to reshape leadership in Africa. Sometimes you feel like you've been buried, but I want you to strengthen your will. Your will, that's the first W. Your will is the one that when you set your alarm, I hope you join my club, the 5 a.m. club. When you set your alarm, you jump out of bed. You don't try and snooze, because when you snooze, you do what? You lose, isn't it? So it is in small things, ladies and gentlemen, that your will is built. My parents, who I hope are watching, would constantly tell us, Patricia, Modoni, how you do small things is how you do everything. Don't wait for the big things. If you believe in God, God will grant you the grace to do big things because you've been faithful in the small things. The second W, harness your weight. And I don't mean kgs, I mean weight. W-A-I-T. How do you wait, ladies and gentlemen? What happens is that many of us are impatient in the matters of character development, money growth, and anything else we're trying to do. So how do you wait? Harness your ability to wait. My experience is that the true patience is built when you have to forcefully wait for something you really wanted, isn't it? Many of us get caught up in this get-quick-rich schemes. Those shortcuts never take us anywhere. So learn how to wait. Recently, I was traveling. We're doing quite a bit of work across Africa. And with my colleague Betty, who's seated out there, we were going to Ghana. So we get to the airport. We have this plan of what we need to do when we get there. And even before we get to the counter, we get a text from KQ telling us, your flight has been delayed. A flight that was leaving at 11 is now going to leave at 2. I told her, it's okay, keep calm. Let's just sit down in the lounge and create this as our breakthrough office. But in that lounge, there were people who were insulting the air stewards. They were causing a lot of drama. Do you think by shouting to the stewardesses, the flight is going to come faster? In fact, if it comes and it has 4 seats, you can be sure you will not be amongst them, isn't it? So challenge yourself when you're forced to wait. The real character test is how you wait. Second W. The third W, raise your work ethic. Our ability to work well is one of the things that becomes a signature of your brand. Even if you're an intern somewhere, or you're in a job, you even have 2 degrees and you keep wondering, how comes I have this kind of job when I am meant for more? Be exceptional in the things you're doing now. You're supposed to be making photocopies. Make them so well. You're supposed to, in one of the jobs I did, I started there actually, and you were supposed to staple the audit reports at a specific angle. Can you imagine? Angle. So if you're there rolling your eyes thinking, oh my goodness, I've just finished my degree, I got a first class, second class, what kind of work is this I'm doing? Therein is where you are burning your bridges. Do those little tasks that seem invisible with a lot of love. Your work ethic. Think about the last week. Whether you have a job outside the house or a job within the home, how do you do that work? When you're serving that cup of tea, when you are doing whatever it is, think about this week. Have you done your work by raising your spirit of excellence, work ethic? And the last W, deepen your character well. Many of us are very big on personal branding, isn't it? And you will go to great lengths to appear as if you are someone you are not, right? You go to my Instagram page and you say, I want to be like Dr. Pat. Those images are curated. Yes, they are me, but maybe you don't know the history and the sacrifice and the pain behind the glory or the success. Each one of us here has a story. The question is, was that story and that experience deepening your character well? Why did we choose the word well? Because if you know what a well does, you deepen into it, you deepen your bucket, and you get water to refresh yourself, to cook, to do whatever it is that you need to do. But when I think about the character well like a personal brand, it actually means that when you shine a light, when you use your gifts, your talents, your messes, your skills, your experiences, and you turn them all not only to serve you, but to serve others, then you are deepening your character well so that other people can get water, cool, refreshing water from it. It is said that the real brands are the ones that serve others and the ones that what they say is who they are. 4 W's. What are the 4 W's? The first one is what? Strengthen your will. The second? Harness your weight. The third one? Raise your work ethic. And the fourth one? Deepen your character well. You see, the idea of finishing is not where you start. It's not where you start. In my book, Rise, the first book I wrote about the first SQ, where I lived. And I was so excited. You go down to Luthuli, you buy a TV. Those days it was not a flat screen, it was a real box. And then you buy a sufuria and you buy 1 or 2 other things, but you're very proud to move out to that SQ. The first night, I start hearing some papers rustling. And as they rustle, I start asking myself, what is happening? Remember, it's my first night alone. And then I put on the lights and I see the biggest GMO cockroach I have ever seen in my life. That cockroach was GMO'd. It was so big. And I was like, I am not going back home. I am not going back home. Even if this is the first SQ I'm living in, it is not where I will end. That night, needless to say, I didn't sleep. Because cockroaches don't like light. When you come to programs like in Centonomy and Rise School, allow yourself to be vulnerable, to shed light in those dark spaces where, because of our habits, our attitudes, and our beliefs, we are not allowing ourselves to rise. That time when I stayed in that house, I started putting down my goals. And one of the goals was that I will own, and if I'm married, we will own our home before I'm 40. Write down those goals. You stretch like this, and I could touch the walls. But I am there saying, we will do what? We will own a home before I'm 40. I was in my late 20s. Don't allow your current circumstances to diminish your ability to have a vision, to become a disciplined, ethically wealthy, good human being. Your circumstances now may be jarring. Maybe you've wasted money. Maybe you've lent money to someone you trusted. I write about it in one of my books. But I want to encourage you. Choose to pick the lessons. Forgive those and even forgive yourself where you've let yourself down. But more than anything, choose to begin again. How do you do that? What do you see on that screen? What do you see? What do you see? A mtaro, isn't it? Also called a ditch, isn't it? How many of us have experienced ditches, not only the physical ones, but the ditch of life, where you feel you wanted to move forward, but somehow you are not able to move forward? As I finish, I want to remind you to be a bridge, not a ditch. Be a bridge to yourself. Today, take one thing and decide to start acting on it. Bridge from your old worst self to your next best self by the power of the disciplines and the habits. Just one thing repeated continuously for the next X number of days, 10, 15, 21, will help you bridge over the spaces where you possibly have failed, or you feel guilty, or you feel ashamed, or you've not shown up in a way that makes you think, I was worthwhile. Be a bridge that transverses, and that by your example, other people will look and say, maybe I can also try. That time in my 20s, when I wrote down that vision, then I was very intent that if I was dating someone, that guy also needed to have some visionary ideas in some of these things. So I had some questions when I was dating to just see whether we shall be aligned in the future. And I think many of us just go through life without really thinking. You know, the way you prepare for a job interview, that same kind of courage preparation is what I'll encourage you to think about when you think about your friends. And if marriage is your vocation, when you think about that friend of all friends. So anyway, I met Morugami, and I told him, you know what, I'm thinking, what are your ideas about a home? And he says, I want us to build a home. And then we started driving around and asking, where do we want to go? And one of our investments was to buy a piece of land, even if we had no dream or plan of when we'll build. So I remember at the time, lunch times, I would take a matatu, go onto different parts of, because he was working out of town, and I would go and talk to the watchmen. Those are the ones who know the plots that are being sold. And by asking them which plots are being sold, where, what, we ended up in the plot that we now live in. But I'm reminded of the conversation with the owner of that plot. He asked me, he worked in South Africa. I loaded my airtime so that I don't get embarrassed in the phone call. Huh? Because you don't want to look, because if your airtime runs out and you want to buy a piece of land, what is the reflection of that? Isn't it? So I was like, hey, you scratch and scratch and scratch, isn't it? And then anyway, I put in the airtime, so I called him. And then he says, so what's your name again? I told him my name. And tell me a bit about yourself. I told him, you know, I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG, Deloitte. He says, stop there. You worked at Coopers. When did you work there? I told him the years. At that time, I was working at Bamburi. And then he says, okay, no problem. We'll talk next week. He needed to consult with his wife. Remember, he's in South Africa, eh? That time, I'm just seeing this money might just finish. But I was intent. I said, no problem. Can I call you on Tuesday? Tuesday, I called him. And then he says, you know, in those few days, we decided to check up on you, to audit you. So I talked to some of my colleagues. I also worked at PwC. I talked to some of my colleagues to find out if they knew about you and if you are a legit person. Let me remind you, I worked at Coopers and Librand in one holiday in third year. Third year. When in those days, University of Nairobi, they used to riot, you're home for 6 months. Do people relate here? Some people might relate. So I looked for a job, and I was really as in what is below intern, that role. But in those 6 months, because my parents said, do everything with the best of your ability, I did my best. And guess what? He said, we think we'll sell you the land. And that's how we got that piece of land. Be a bridge wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. Choose to be a bridge, like those bridges you see in New York. Be a bridge by how you will choose to learn and unlearn what it is that you need to do. I want you to think about how you'll grow your 4 Ws. I want to encourage you that it's not the first, but the last step in the race. The last shot in the basketball basket. The last volley in the tennis. The last swing of the bat that makes the lasting difference. For that is where the game is won. And that is why you must always do what? Finish strong. Take a moment to tell your neighbor, which of the 4 Ws are you going to focus on? Here, you know, we are not in academics. No. Here we are practical. Decide and tell them. Tell your neighbor. Tell your neighbor, my focus for the rest of August is this W. And this is how I will do it. Tell your neighbor. Okay. My time is up. But this morning, the 10th of August, 2024, welcome back. I want to encourage you in my second book, Pause, and these books are available at a special discount for anyone who's come for the Centonomy Open Day. I write, consistency in your private and public life is your most powerful leadership tool. Consistency in your what? Private life and public life. So without further ado, I want to encourage you, rise up and finish what you started. Thank you very much.
Woo! More than that, come on. Hey, Daktari, there's a question for you. What if I have started and fallen?
Yes.
I started, I was on the way, I had my goal, I had everything in place. That's somebody who's asking online.
That's such a good question.
By the way, can I give you just an encouragement?
Yes.
Everyone is just saying, wow, what a gem.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. That's good. That's what's
Thank you
happening
very
online.
much. Thank
I
you.
started and I failed.
Yes.
What do I do?
I have started and failed. I remember a business that I was so passionate about, but it got to a point that I was using my day job salary to pay rent for that business. Has anyone been in that space? Yeah, I even wonder what I was thinking now when I look back. But I want to encourage you that when you fall, choose to look at failure as a lesson learned, as opposed to a doomsday prophecy. Ask yourself, what are the lessons I can learn to actually rise up from this failure? I say here that when you learn, teach someone. When you rise, lift others. And when you fail, have the courage to become a beginner and to rise up and become your next best self. Forgiveness is important. Journal your lessons. Find help. Find that coach. Get into a Centonomy program. Sign up for a Rise School program. Get a therapist if it's that, intense. Because sometimes we get into spaces that we need to heal before we grow from it. So I encourage you, life is not a straight line. Perfectionism is not what we are looking for. We are looking for progress and the ability to betray your old worst self and choose to be loyal to your next best self. Thank you.
Wow. One question here. Quickly, your hand, if it doesn't come up in the next 1 second, we are done. Ready, steady, go. Let's give our hand
Great.
one more time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And God bless you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
In case you have comments or questions, please follow us. I'm here with my daughters who are my interns at the moment. And they told me, don't forget to tell them about the social media. So you can follow us or send me an inbox on LinkedIn, on Instagram. And by next week, we'll be opening up our TikTok page, YouTube channel, and I show up as Dr. Patricia Morogami. There are some pages where you're called Mama Watoto. I don't know who. My names are consistent. So if you just find us, in case you have some questions you'd like to clarify or feedback, don't hesitate. Thank you.
Wow, one more time for Dr. Patricia Morogami. She is an excellent leadership. She's an excellent leadership coach. She is a growth and global leadership catalyst. Please do follow her online. And this is a kind of gift that we want to bring to you through Centonomy. During our open day, we invite people because we recognize it's not, when we talk about finances, the money is not always the problem. If you heard from her experience, the very first job, I completely agree with you. I am a university, I have a degree. I have come home, I'm looking for a job, and I was hired as an unpaid intern in a media house. Unpaid, you come for free, you work for free. And I came into that place, and I remember my boss at that time. And he spoke to me, and he spoke the best words. He said, Waithaka, this is a small organization, get involved. Don't just do your job. Get involved and do other things. And the same kind of story that you talked about, this is my experience. I moved from being an unpaid intern to being a head of department within 3 years. And it's about taking those lessons that you spoke about. So thank you one more time. Let's give our hand to Dr. Patricia Morogami. Thank you very, very much. We really appreciate that. So ladies and gentlemen, on this journey of financial freedom, it is not just about the money. It is not just about the investments. It's also about your character. What are you doing in your life? Are you choosing, when she talked about to build your weight, Many of us are impatient with our investments because we see somebody one day and we think they got there in 1 second. You're going to hear some stories from the next couple of speakers. It doesn't take a second, but if you're consistent, an opportunity can come and that you can take advantage of it as quickly as possible. So the next person who's coming to speak he's become a good friend now. And it's because we spent about 3 months together in the class. I want you to put your hands together for our alumni, Mr. Stompy Mwendwa. Karibu sana. You can just... Stompy is preparing himself there. I just want to say thank you to all those who are online. As I said now, we are closing in on 700 plus online who are watching from around the world. Let me state this. You now have no excuse not to attend the Centonomy 101 program. You know, we used to be in one place. We would have a class here in town, and then we would have a class somewhere in Westlands. And if you're not in Nairobi, you miss out. But now the classes are all fully online. That means you can attend class from anywhere in the world. And literally, we have had students from all over the place. Every continent on earth except Antarctica. Because there are no people there. So what's your excuse now? Guys, we have to get this right now for the generations to come. One more time for Stompy Mwendwa as he comes to share his experiences. Thank you, Stompy.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, folks.
Good morning.
A little bit of energy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Why don't you turn to your neighbor and shake their hand very heavily, hard. Tell them nice to see you. It's good to see everyone, a lot of beautiful folks in the building today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to just join us. And of course, big shout out to Centonomy. I am an alumnus, so whatever it is that's being spoken here is something that I can give 100% testimony to. And it's been quite a very fun journey. 12 weeks, and I promise you those 12 weeks don't even last that long. You feel like it's just been 5 minutes because of the value that you get out of it. So I think to start off, I just want to, start off in the right way with a story. So, anybody here got kids? Kids? Anyone? Oh, wow. Just a few hands. Everyone here is, slacking. For real though, any kids? Anyone with kids? There we go. Okay, so this story is about a gentleman, a dad, and he had a son. And this son was, a proper Gen Z, 25 years old. So they hop onto a train and they're heading somewhere. And of course, as always, in a train, you'll have people who are joining in, also going in the various destinations. So they hop onto this train, and this 25-year-old young man is saying, "Dad, look, the trees are passing us." If you have small kids, and you hear that, you'll be like, yeah, it's a young kid. And then this is at the top of his voice. And then he says once again, "Dad, look, the clouds are moving. And they're moving as fast as we are." And someone who was next to this dad was like, "Hey, okay, this one is going to tell us everything by the time we get to the destination." So he just turned to the dad and was like, "Hey, I think you need to, maybe check your son into a hospital. Have you seen a doctor? I mean, this sounds serious." And the dad just smiled and said, "We're just from the doctor. My son was born blind, and today is his first day seeing the world." How about that? So you never really know the story of someone until you get to know them. So once again, turn to your neighbor and say hello. It's nice to see you. All right, okay, thank you so much. Cool, so the theme of today is finishing strong. And this is an alumnus point of view, so the POV. My name is Stompy, that's my government name. A lot of people say it's a cartoon name, ask me if it's a real name, because stomp is a verb. You're stomping something. Unfortunately, I don't do a lot of stomping, otherwise I would be a wrestler. But I prefer to go by Stormzy and not the UK rapper. So I work in tech. I have a decade experience in tech. I work in a company that is basically building the future. Anyone here used ChatGPT? Any? Okay, so ChatGPT is my customer. OpenAI is my customer. Anyone here on Twitter or X? Hands? That is also my customer. Anyone use Uber? That's my customer. The list goes on. So yeah, that is what I do on a day-to-day basis, 9 to 5. I have a BSc in computer science. So it was, written in the stars that I'd join in and, build tech, build software. Yeah, so I'm an alumnus, once again. I was in season 40, and now I'm here, standing here in front of you, giving my testimony. Amen. All right, and basically what this 12 weeks did for me is basically what I'm going to be talking about. But there are a lot of things here that really hit home and really made me want to share with you today how influential or how valuable this program is. So, in the spirit of finishing, you really have to start something. And I like Formula One. Any Formula One fans here? Any motorsport fans here? Which team do you like? I hate Red Bull Racing. Hate it. I loathe them. I'm a Mercedes guy. So, yeah. But a lot of racers say one thing, and that is to finish first. First, you have to finish. So you want to be number one. You cannot be number one in, 50 laps out of 51, and then your car breaks down on lap 51, and they still say, hey, you know what, I still finish first. You have to finish the race for you to be crowned the winner. That means you have to start. So you have to make it to the start. Your car has to be on the start of the line so that you can actually participate in the race. Now, today is probably a start for most of you, some of you, all of you, I hope. And for me, it was as well in 2021. So 2021, I was wet behind the ears. I did not know jack about saving money and investing. But I started. I said, you know what, I'll put some money somewhere and see how it goes. Winging it. That's what people call it. So I winged it for a while. I put some money in insurance. You know how, I'm going to have to roast my aunt here, but she's in the insurance industry, and they push you. They're like, hey, man, you know what? If you put some money into, an education plan for your kids, you won't have to pay fees, when they're in their teens. And I was like, I don't even have a girlfriend. And you're telling me to put money to take care of kids. What if I don't get any? It's those questions. So, but anyway, I supported her and I put some money there. And I also dabbled a bit. I put some money in an insurance product, a life insurance, just in case, you might, lose your life or something. So I was doing this without a plan. But in 2023, thanks to these guys, this gentleman here, do you know who this is? I promise you that, yes, that is real hair. And I think, Waithaka, you have to tell us, because I think that is fountain of youth that you found, because you have rewinded a couple of years post this picture. So you're doing a great job. So that was the first gentleman. I listened to his YouTube video. I was just looking, I was just searching. And then there was another guy. This guy. Please don't kill me. But I have to ask you though, how do you do this? Like, can anyone try? I tried. Sorry, Dr. Kingori, for putting me on the spot. But yeah, that's an eighth wonder if you ask me. So, those two gentlemen had some videos on YouTube, and this is what I watch. I encourage you to do so. These ones helped me, put me on the right track, I must say. You can go check them out. I won't go deep into them. But I had a question for the team, for everyone here. Anyone know what, I'm going to pull something out here. What is this? What is money? Anyone, what the heck is this? Sir, you have any idea? Okay. Anyone else? Stores value. Great one. But it's a piece of paper. Like, it's like if today I just went and just ripped this apart, of course everyone would be like, oh my God. But it's just a piece of paper. But because as us as humans, we've come together and built consensus and said, yes, this is a valuable thing. But in the past, that wasn't just how it was. In the past, money was a cow. And then later it turned into gold. And now we are here around paper money, plastic, and now what everyone is always just raving about, crypto. It's a consensus, it's an agreement that us as human beings come together and say, you know what, this is something of value. And because it is made by man, it has its rules. And the rules, there is no better place to learn than in Centonomy. So basically that was what you've answered. Anything that comes to mind when you see this picture here? It's someone's wrist and looks like a handcuff tied to that piece of paper. Anything that comes to mind? A slave. But who is the slave here? It could be either, right? The person could be the slave, or money could be the slave. Which one would you choose? Exactly. So, Centonomy helps you turn that piece of paper into your slave. And the good thing about slaves, they never complain. They will work and work and work and not even ask you for a thing. I like this quote from Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha. And he says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Now, that's something I said I don't want to do. I don't want to work when hopefully if I make it 80, 90, I want to take it easy. So, what is the next step? After doing all this and taking this course in Centonomy, what was the next step for me? I said, I'll follow the money. I will do my research, I will read, I will take the lessons learned and chart my own path. So this is my story thus far. I took this picture on the 6th. This is this week. This is my one of my portfolios, and it's a stock portfolio. And all this I learned from Centonomy and added some more. So I'd like to, let's see. Let me pick out a company here. Berkshire, that's this one here. That is a company owned by this gentleman. And I said, you know what, I believe in him. I have seen the financials of this company. I'm going to give him some of my money. Let him work for me. Let my slaves in my pocket go and slave for me for the rest of my life. So that's what I did. I bought some. I have other companies here in this portfolio. One that I like is General Motors. If you know General Motors, they're the makers of Isuzu and whatnot. I like their financials. I went ahead and bought them. Royal Caribbean, for folks who like to travel and want to go on a cruise. Royal Caribbean is they buy the ships and they create a package for you to go onto the sea with the love of your life for a whole 3 months, bond, drink, and just enjoy yourselves and come back to life after, or not come back to life, come back to the realities of life after 3 months. So yeah, I said I'll just put my money in this, and this is all from learning from Centonomy and going ahead and adding more value into my life by reading. However, this is the 5th of August. 5th of August was a red day, so something that James here probably might know because he's in the industry. This is how it looks like when you put your own money without going through the fund manager and whatnot. They will obscure this from you and protect your money. When you do it like me, this is what you see. So a red day is basically on the 5th. Actually started on the Friday prior to that. I forget the exact date. But it was a terrible, terrible day. There was fear of recession in the United States. And when there's fear, people start to sell off. And this is how it looks like. Very terrible. However, I think I missed something here. I must have left that slide. Anyway, I wanted to show it on the long term. It's very green. So this is a day. If you look at it in a span of a year, everything here is rosy. It's very green. Lots of potential, lots of money was made. And I said, you know what, I want to participate in this. So I did. But however, you will have these ups and downs and cycles, as James mentioned. So that's one of the risks. And once again, you're taught managing risk in Centonomy. This is also another portfolio of mine. It's just an ETF portfolio. I put in a little bit of money here. And I said I'm going to track the American indexes and index funds for the rest of my life. So put a little bit of money there, and I'll continue putting. It's called dollar cost averaging, which is a fancy term of just saying, I'll put money every month. So basically, what am I saying here? It's possible. The start looks like this. But if we come back here, probably when I've shaved my hair as well, and, I've lost a little bit of years, 30 years from now, how will that look like? So these are my goals. As Wadaka said, you invest and you put your money and save with a goal in mind. This is my goal. I'd like to make over 100% in 3 years. Is it possible? I don't know. But how will I know if I don't try? So that's my goal. If I fail dramatically, well, I tried. But if I succeed, I have everything to gain. So that's my challenge to you today. Whatever it is your goal is, you can achieve it if you believe it. And you put work. As they say, you go to the gym to lose weight. You might as well go ahead and go to the gym and try and lose weight and then come out looking like Mr. Olympia or Miss Olympia or whatever. You never know until you try. So that is basically the value add that I got. I'm trying something as well. I want to see if I can also venture into the world of content creation and give out my knowledge by writing a newsletter. I'll talk about what I've seen, my experiences, and what I see is the next step for things like equities or index funds, and so on and so forth. So feel free to reach out. This is the end of my presentation. Those are my contacts. Say hello. If this was of value to you, you can always say something, and I'll appreciate that. So for me, the start has been today. Let us all finish strong. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Stompy he's one of those students in the class who asks a question in every single session that you go to. That curiosity is what has gotten you to the place that you're at, and we're so grateful that you've come to share that experience. Just one comment, if you saw that one red day, this is what we tend to see. Oh, that investment doesn't work because on that day it went down. But when you look at it, as he said, over the long term, and we begin to explain in the classes, especially if you're going to invest in business through the stock market, you can't be looking at day to day. You have to be looking long term. And it's going to be that one thing that you do over and over as you go. Second thing I took away is value addition. Hey, our classes are excellent. They are holistic, but they are not everything. And so we encourage you, after you leave the class, to get involved elsewhere. Build your knowledge as you grow and go through it all. I am so happy to invite our next speaker for the day. I made noise at him because after I went on his show, suddenly I can't walk in the city of Nairobi. You know, people are just looking at you and they're saying, "Hi, Waithaka, you've never met this person." But so kind of him to come and share his experiences. Can we put our hands together for Dr. King Ore, who is in the house, to share his experiences on finishing strong. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Waithaka, for that colorful introduction. Good morning. Mko sawa? Aya, sawa sawa. Watu wako hapa na ma-presentation na kina Stompy, Patricia. And I take my own things pia nikienda. Patricia amesema, make sure your worst enemy is not between your 2 ears. Ndio? Watu wa kampo wanajua hiyo ni first year and second year. Ndio? So now, I'd like to share a few stories. I'm not a money expert. I'm just curious about money. And interestingly, one of my first money teacher, I've paid proper school fees. No, there's theory and then kuna ground. I'm a student of both theory and ground. Yes. And I think I got to learn about Centonomy through Caroline Motoko. She was speaking at one of the events. And unaona kidogo, but didn't pay that much attention. Then I think certain things, the more I immersed myself in understanding how money works, the more I started connecting dots from back when I was growing up. I'll tell you a story about a cousin of mine. Wale, a very tight cousin. We grew up together, doing kila kitu pamoja. And let me just, let me use the name Lena. So tulikuwa tunacheza, we play together every now and then. And then I noticed that one day, I grew up in Embu. Now, anyone, what's the name of, there's a tree that when you hit it, it removes some white, like milk. In Embu, tulikuwa tunaita kariaria. We used to call it kariaria. What's inaitwaje? No, no, like a name that everyone can relate to. But I think you get the point, right? So I remember one morning, we used to meet up at around 10. And Lena comes and hits the kariaria with a stone. Like it was a game we used to play, but on this Saturday, it was her lucky day. So she hits the kariaria, inatoa maziwa, and when she turns, anaokota 5 shillings. Again, she hits the kariaria, and when she turns, anaokota 10 shillings. I hit the kariaria the whole day. I did not get anything. And I thought, kwani how unlucky can a man be? And it traumatized me until I got to learn that this was a clever ploy, that she had taken some money from her mother, and because nikimwona akikula vitu tamu, I'll be a witness. She had a cover story. Right? This money was from magic. Right? And that was my first, and I'm talking about around 8-9 years old. This was my first experience with money laundering. On a very serious note. And I think I carry that lesson in my life today, and I think that's one of my greatest lessons too, not compare myself with how other people are doing. If someone else is doing fine, I can do fine in my own way, not as per the other person's standards, because you don't know how people make their money. That's a story for another day because of my immersion in understanding how money works. So now I wanted to get something. I wanted to get something for myself. I've always wanted better because I come from a very humble background, as we call it. That's a polite name for poverty. So I get through, in primary school, I had 2 money lessons that I carry in my life to date. The second one is about debt. One time, and I think I later learned this lesson on how we value money. Like when it's money that you have not touched, if it's not like hard currency, you don't feel the spending. So I come from an era, I had someone say that most of our audience leo ni Gen Zs, but I come from an era when the Kenyan shilling meant something. From the era where, let's say, 1,000 bob, I don't know, you could buy a piece of land, sijui. But then, I come from an era where the Kenyan shilling was strong. And this particular time, I dared someone. His name was Steve. I dared Steve if he could do something. As in, I had just heard of, we had tried something. Yeah, you roll your hand easy, and you roll the other hand going back. So in my head, we had agreed collectively that it was impossible. I don't know why my obsession with magic was a mess around this time, but by doing this, can you try that? Is it possible today to ukiroll hii and then the other one inarudi nyuma? Ningekuwa na deni yenu ya pesa mingi. So I dare Steve if he could do it, and then he does it. He does it once. And so, nilikuwa nimebet na yeye, I was to give him 5 bob. 5 bob that I did not have. So I found a clever way out of this situation. I told Steve that now that I don't have the 5 bob, we can increase it by 1 bob every day that we meet and I don't have the 5 bob. So now, kila siku, and Steve was very patient. We meet 5 bob. No, 6 bob. Anaenda. So 5 bob. No, acha ikue 10 bob. Anaenda. And we eventually, we got to a place where it was 30 shillings. 30 shillings, remember, this was before free primary education. And I went to, my primary school was Embu Urban Primary School. So in Embu Urban, the school fees for the term, what we used to pay, I don't know whether tulikuwa tunaita activity fee, was 120 shillings. 60 or 120 shillings. So Mimi, on commitment of a bet, on my belief in magic, I had committed to give someone 30 shillings. I didn't have it. I remember how that debt was settled because we agreed that I couldn't afford that money. We had an option. And I don't know how children negotiate. Ati because I don't have the 30 bob, anipige tumalizane. As in, see you negotiate aje by there. As in, how does he benefit? But then how does, I think I'm going to look for Steve. How do you benefit? Like, did you wait this long? You understand? As in, and the lesson I carry from that today is be very careful about your commitments. And it's very easy to spend what you don't have. It's very easy. And sometimes you get out of situations because of the easy way out. And these are things I learn and connect later in life. So I get through primary school, and my fellow students, I believe they will have to come across this one way or another at Ngovio Boys High School. In Form 2, the teachers, the administration banned people from carrying snacks to school. And it was illegal to buy things from outside. It was illegal. So now, there was an illegal business going on in school. Donuts. Zinaitwa ngumu. Unazijua? Ngumu, when you step outside the gate of Ngovio Boys, ngumu is 5 bob. And it's illegal to even be caught buying it. So we had people who had courage, who had the courage to go sneak out of school, wakuje na ngumu, and then sell one at 20 shillings. One at 20 shillings. So in high school, I happened to have had an obsession with a mobile phone, SIM, like gadgets. They just, as in, hey, I don't know, I learned about all these phones from that era. Sijui Motorola V3, Samsung E250, Nokia 6300. We had an era of the Nokia N series, E series. I could narrate all that. I wish they brought it to the exams. So now, personally, I cannot even afford easy ngumus at 20 bob as frequently as you wish. But then, a dorm mate comes to me with a proposal. I have a friend who trusted me to keep their phone. He was a class ahead of me, to keep their phones when they were doing exams. And from my side, my mom used to pay school fees in installments. Like ni kama kupea mwalimu za macho. Like in school fees, my mother had a strategy. Ya akikupatia, like let's say the school fees for the whole year was 31,000. That's what they pay for kindergarten now. The school fees was 31,000 for the whole year. So my mom had this strategy. Yeah, she would give me around 3K. Ni kama mimi nilikuwa nalipa school fees kama entrance fee. Like when we go to school, shikilia hiyo mwalimu tuingie kidogo, alafu I'll wait for when people get sent home, si ndio? And she has another 2,000 bob backup. Entrance fee around 2. I think my high school was an event. Mimi kama nilienda blankets and wine. So now, I happen to have had a phone. I'm holding a phone. I didn't have the courage to sneak out of school. And I think this time I had around 2,000 shillings in a backup to pay school fees. I had not paid yet. So my friend comes and gives me a proposal. Alikuwa anaitwa Diki. So Diki comes and gives me a proposal. Akaniambia, I know someone who can bring us ngumu, and you don't have to sneak out of school. They will bring it to school. All you need is just give me the phone. I was holding a phone for Davy. And give me the phone. I'll just make a phone call. And the seed money, which is 1,500. Tuanze na investment ya 1,500. So from 1,500, when we make the profit, itakuwa ngapi? Times 4. Tulikuwa tunafanya na absolute numbers. So tukieka 1,500, tunajua ni 6,000. So when the 6,000 comes, atachukua 1,500, he continues with the investment, mimi nirudishiwe 4,500. I was home and dry. I had already started budgeting for the 4,500. I knew the phone I was going to buy after that investment. So I was like, aya, sawa, what do we do? Shika simu piga. We called the guy. And he was supposed to bring our target. We had all the investment strategies in place. We wanted our ngumus delivered before breakfast. So breakfast is around 6:30. So tunajua, mimi najua, kesho 8, niko na 4,500 cash. So the best time to bring hizi ngumu was 5 a.m. Everything went according to plan, kila kitu. And then on the morning, when the guy was supposed to deliver the ngumu, the guy overslept. How do you oversleep on such an important business mission? Why are you not serious about money? Now, the guy oversleeps. So I'm told that by 6:30, the consignment has not arrived. So we have to make a decision. Do we still continue with the transaction or do we cancel? But you know I have a budget. I know by 8 a.m. I am supposed to have a phone, a new phone. It's a new life I'm looking at. Yes? And I think my greed at that moment is focusing on, if, let's say 6:30, can you make it by 7? Sawa, to target chai ya saa 4. I'll just have interfered with the original plan by 1 meal and 2 lessons in between, or 4. So the guy comes. I'm the investor. I think this is technically my money working for me. Me, I want my 4,500. I've already invested. My education also depends on this somehow. So the guy comes, and I remember Diki coordinated the operations, alafu ngumu ikarushwa kwa fence at 7. And the devil is very active. The devil is very active when, with shortcuts actually, let me just say shortcuts. So the ngumus get thrown apart the fence, and I don't know where the teacher on duty comes from to chase people away to go to, I don't remember whether it was assembly. Yes, I think it was assembly. Then the investor is not involved in the whole process. So Diki coordinates the efforts. He picks the sack of ngumus. Hey, we had very, sisi survival ya high school, the things we ate. Akazirusha in the nearest classroom, which was a Form 1 class. He does that, and kumbe ameieka, amemwaga mtama mahali penye kuku wengi. I think under those circumstances, the Form 1s don't even fear you. They scrambled for hizo vitu, and then by the time the teacher comes, zimemwagika hapo kila mahali, everywhere. And now the question is, hizi ni za nani? Right? And around this time, people have gotten back to class. I am nowhere near that investment around that time. Bado sijafikiwa. Watu wakasema, they saw Diki. Sawa. Our classroom, where our classroom was, now we are settled in class. The head teacher amekuja, the deputy head teacher amekuja. Watu wanaangalia where the ngumus comes from. And I remember I now had faith. I had lost the money. I know, of course, I've lost the money. The teacher will not understand that I've invested in this with what my education depends on. So the next, the hierarchy of needs. So now I've reduced my expectation to, I hope I'll not get caught, because number one, sijafanya makosa, I did not sneak. All I did was invest. So now, I remember my faith now goes to Diki as an individual. So in our school, we had 2 kinds of people. Tulikuwa na people from Nairobi, wenye ni cool kids who are mkonado, but you're not survivors. And then we had people from Ushago. We used to call them mere. Mere inamaanisha umekauka, like umechomwa na jua ya Ushago, you can go through anything. So I trust my friend Diki can go through all forms of beating to stand as the implementer, and that my greatest loss in this transaction will be the seed money. I was wrong. I remember there was a slap that rang on Diki, like he was slapped in a certain way that from where I was sitting, I had my name coming from, and I think I interpreted that as betrayal at that time. I felt betrayed. I invested my money in betrayal. And what happens is, kesi moja after ingine, the teacher called me. The teacher could not believe. The teacher could not believe that that was me. Because I was just called hapo, nikaulizwa ni ukweli. Hizi niza nini? Diki sasa turned against me. Diki akasema, mwalimu ni huyu alipiga simu, zikuje. Sasa kesi ikatoka kwa donuts, wapi hiyo simu? Because this was also illegal. So we go, I gave out the phone. So I'm in trouble times 2. Nimepeana simu ya wenyewe. I don't know what I'll tell my mom. But at least now I reduced. Good news, I did not sneak. I did not sneak, I only invested. I'm being punished for investing. I'm being punished for business acumen. So now, the teacher, I was never suspended actually. The teacher just asked a simple question because he knew my situation. Asked a simple question, just tell us who brought these things to you, right? We knew the trouble that would come with saying that an outsider, as a student, the worst that can happen to you is get sent out of school. The outsider gets sent to jail. But then I learned something. I was never suspended, just a letter to go home and come back when I'm ready to explain or to tell the teachers who brought those things to school. And that lesson, from that experience, I'll save you all the details. We can talk here mpaka jioni. That experience carried a very heavy lesson for me to date, even as I learn about money, as I continue to learn about money. Never put your money, never let the greed of what you get in return advise or inform your decision on where you put your money. This was my first experience with risk. Yes, business is a risk, but what are you risking? Tunaambiwa no risk, no return. But what are you really risking? Is it worth it? Is ile kitu inaitwa cost benefit analysis. Is the return on investment a cost you're willing to pay? I look at it that way. After a period, I went through high school. After high school, I was lucky to get a job with Nation Media Group and I was with Nation for over 10 years. But the greatest lesson came very late in life. We currently have a conversation which Waithaka Gatumia, the CEO, has been a guest on. And I'm on a mission to make sure that as many Kenyans as possible learn the basics of money from, as in any information that we get. All perspectives are welcome. But the few stories, the 2 stories I've shared, are basically my interactions with real life application of money. Risk, investing in rumors, because someone else is making money, you think that's where it is. The process of doing research, most of the businesses that we think are working are false. So in a setting like this where you can get information on how to manage, how to get your money, how to deal with it is a very big plus. And asanteni sana for listening to me.
Very, very good. Thank you. 1 second there as you hand on. Any questions for Dr. Kingori? This is your chance to say even hello. There is one there. I knew there was one. Very quickly. Please stand to your feet. Let us know who you are and ask your question very quickly.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Buire Bivon.
Yes?
My name is Buire Bivon.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. My question is, what are some of the investment risk safety measures that you can have? Because for your story, there was a lot of emotions involved, and
yes.
most of us, the reason why we don't get into investments is because tunasikianga beti kichomeka. It's almost yes. like you've lost your life. So what are some of the safety blocks you can put in place?
One thing I have learned is that the answer to that is very wide, but one thing, I'll tell you what to never invest in, and I stand corrected. And I'll give it in terms of an example, right? The money experts will explain based on the information nimepata. Tunaambiwanga, my first money teacher, anaitwa Gor Semelango, who you shared a clip of, alinifunza kitu, aliniambia, the most realistic return on investment is 5%, not per month, per year, right? In real estate, wale watu wanajenga, they talk about a return investment, an average of 8%, right? So anything you put your money, yenye someone is promising you 30% per month, 20% per month, that's most likely a lie. The money experts watatuambia. So the process, one, hakuna shortcut. Study the return on investment. Like sawa, Mimi, before I put my money somewhere, I ask the question of, sawa, unanirudishia hii, wewe unaitoa wapi? You understand? And I hope, yes, and I hope the money experts will also tell us that return on investment on average is 8%. Say the banks will give you at 22%, right? Loans are now going, yes, loans are going at 22%. Wewe ukichukua pesa at 22%, will you ever repay it? Kama the maximum on average you will get ni 10%, right? That's what I do in analyzing anywhere I'm going to put my money. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Come on, give him another hand. Thank you so much. Now, Dr. Kingori, do you guys know your real name? Do you guys know your real name? It's not hidden. It's public knowledge. Does anyone know his real name? Anyone? Shout out. First of all, Kingori is Kikuyu. He's not Kikuyu, as you can tell just now over here. Felix.
Yes.
Omondi, yes?
Yes.
Now you know.
I
thought you knew. Come on, give him one more hand. Thank you so much. You know, that's what we do in the class. It's real stories, real life, what you've gone through that you can be able to learn and to build on. The class is starting the first week of September. Your investment in the class today, and this is what we talk about, and every one of the speakers has come and said, you cannot finish unless you start. And so this is where to start. You start off with a simple registration of only 500 shillings today, and then the rest of the fees can be paid in installments starting that week of September. So the first class is on the 5th of September. I want to explain very quickly. All the classes are online and they are convenient for you, and especially to our online audience, thank you so much. We've got, as I said, we are closing in on 800 people online who are following us live right now. You can take the class from anywhere. The class runs multiple times a week. So we have weekdays and they run at 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. East African time. And we also have Saturday morning like now from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. East African time, so that you can find the time from your job, from your business, and all the other things that you've been doing. So your investment today, as we said, is only 500 shillings. The rest of it can be paid in installments, the 48,000. The first installment, first week is 17. The next month, so 4 weeks later, you pay 17,000. And the last month, you pay 14,000. Take that step and do it now. Because what we've seen is once you take that step, now you'll come for the first class. Then after the first class, you'll come for the next. And before you know it, you have completed. Finishing strong is by starting in the first place. So all you need to do is just go to your Mpesa right now, Mpesa, and you put in the paybill number 986850. The account number, put your name. So for example, Jane, and then the number's 101. So your first name and then 101 will be able to reach out to you. Those who are online, please do take a quick screenshot so that you can see how to make the payment. It's only $5, $5 for registration. If you're outside of Kenya, $5. You can do so using the bank details that are there. You're also free to do so using PayPal or Mpesa. Once you have registered, we will reach out to you and send you your orientation pack for the program so that you're able to see when does the class start. You get the material so you can start reading in advance, and you get into the session as we go. So this journey of Centonomy started 15 years ago. Centonomy is celebrating 15. That's something to clap about. For a business to go and to be moving for 15 years, to have survived COVID, to have survived all the different governments, it's not an easy thing. And so I'm so grateful, and I am so pleased to invite my friend, my partner in this business. Can you put our hands together for Washeke Ndwati, the founder of Centonomy? She is an author, and generally she's made a difference in this world. Let's give her one more hand as she comes. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I think it is still morning. How are you all?
Very well, thank you.
You know, when Wedaka mentions 15 years, when I'm sitting there, I'm seeing all these people. I'm seeing professional camera crew. I'm seeing my team all over the place. My friends today are WhatsApping me and telling me, oh, you have an open day today. I'm like, whose business is this? And that's when you've done something for 15 years, when you now look backwards, and I think all of us have to get into that habit of sometimes looking backwards, because we are so concerned with what is ahead, and sometimes what is ahead is always pointing to what we have not yet done. We never appreciate where we've come from. So this story of Centonomy over 15 years is something I'm taking time to take stock and talk about. And today I was asked to talk through that story, through the Centonomy story, but more importantly, what have been the lessons for me when it comes to finishing strong. And some of them are not what you expect, because I'm going to make them quite personal. And these lessons for me are gonna come from whether it's teaching Centonomy, whether through 15 years also personal life happened, correct? Personal life happens to everybody, and just the experience of running a business, the money journey in that. But for me, and I want you to we're going to start talking about the Centonomy story, so please follow Centonomy after this. We're going to start doing videos, podcasts, and a lot of things to tell people how did 15 years happen. Because I think I'm finally allowing myself to be an African business, 15 years, women-led enterprise, in the same up and down economy. Is that something to celebrate? With the impact that it has had, yeah? I think I'm finally allowing myself to celebrate. But Centonomy, you may not be running a business. That's not what I want you to take away from this. It could be your personal life. But I believe everybody has something